Yeah, you're right. Y'all be happy to know that Matthew and I are already plotting ways to get the Brasscals back from time to time. So our third reading this morning is by Ross Gay, poet and author, and he wrote an essay, and this is an excerpt. It's called Joy. My hunch is that joy is an ember for or precursor to wild and unpredictable and transgressive and unboundaried solidarity. And that solidarity might incite further joy, which might incite further solidarity, and on and on. My hunch is that joy emerging from our common sorrow, which does not necessarily mean that we have the same sorrows, but that we, in common sorrow, might draw us together. It might depolarize us and de-atomize us enough that we can consider what in common we love. And though attending to what we hate in common is too often all the rage, and it also happens to be very big business, noticing what we love in common and studying that might help us survive. It's why I think of joy, which gets us to love, as being a practice of survival. Joy, which gets us to love, as being a practice of survival. If there's anything to learn from Mardi Gras, it's that joy is a practice of survival. Joy because it leads us back to love, and that love is what saves us from our sorrow. If ever I cease to love, that theme song of Mardi Gras that we use for the chalice lighting, if ever I cease to love, the song says, the world might as well be nonsense. Cows will lay eggs, the seas will turn to ink, we'll all freeze to death from the heat without love. Sometimes it feels like nothing makes sense right now. Do any of y'all ever get that? Sometimes it kind of is flabbergasted, and I end up in this paralyzed place where I feel like things sometimes have stopped making sense. I have to read headlines 2 or 3 times to say, is that really happening? Like the behavior of those in positions of power exist in a realm outside of rational understanding, resulting in this chaos that we have to navigate every day. Right now, it feels like there's a lot of nonsense in the world, nonsense born out of a lack of love, a disconnect from our shared humanity. Like the song said that was written, 100 and some odd years ago, we are freezing to death from the heat. That metaphor from 150 years ago seems strangely relevant. Too much heat from ice. It's kind of on the nose, right? I get frustrated with the nonsense of it all. The world doesn't have to be so full of chaotic cruelty that serves no good purpose, and yet somehow here we are having to deal with it. So what's the remedy? What's the antidote? Ross Gay suggests that the way through is with joy. Joy that gives rise to an unpredictable, transgressive, and unboundaried solidarity. He might as well have been describing Mardi Gras Day, right? Unpredictable, transgressive, unboundaried solidarity. It is somehow this deeply communal event that also celebrates the individual beauty and expression of each and every person who shows up and participates. And there is this feeling of solidarity amongst the revelers on the streets. Perhaps it's the fact that the costumes exist so we're all able to be someone else for the day, or maybe be our true selves for the day. Perhaps it's because everyone is there for just the same reason, which is just to have a good time. Not as a reward for being good, as Ron Kuchia says, but just because being is good. And that's a unifying sentiment. Perhaps it's the music that binds people together, all of us tapping along to the same rhythm, that kind where you feel that big bass drum vibrating from the soles of your feet all the way up through your body, and you know that the person next to you can feel it too. Whatever it is, there's something collective about this celebration that is wonderful. Now, that's not to say that Mardi Gras is a utopia or that it doesn't have less joyful aspects derived from uncomfortable histories of racism and classism and misogyny. It is, after all, a very old holiday, old enough to have its traditions formed in the crucible of enslavement, Jim Crow, utter lack of rights for women, and this strange fascination with European royalty. Right? There are parts of Mardi Gras that are downright weird in their anachronistic nostalgia, and if you want to catch a glimpse of it, you can go to YouTube and watch the meeting of the courts of Rex and Comus, one of the oldest traditions, which is just bizarre. I could do a whole sermon on this, and I probably will someday. But even this complicated history doesn't stop people from joy. Rather than give up on the holiday because it has these shadow sides that we need to bring into the light, rather than throw the baby Jesus out with the historical bathwater, New Orleans baked him into a cake and covered it in purple, green, and gold and made a party out of it and invited everyone to find their place in response to the very real sorrows of the world and feeling that irrational cruelty is on the rise. This year I have taken comfort in knowing that right now, Mardi Gras is happening. There are parades rolling down the street in New Orleans. This chaotic, unpredictable, transgressive joy is also possible. So much of Mardi Gras doesn't make a lot of rational sense. If you think too hard about it, you're doing it wrong. The beads that we throw out that you all are reaching so eagerly for, the minute they hit the ground, they're worth nothing, right? It's the game, it's the activity. They're not expensive, they're not costly, but man, you want them so much in that moment, right? It makes no sense. The whole city shuts down for days of unproductive partying, right? And dancing, what's more nonsensical than dancing? It doesn't serve any rational purpose. It's just delight in the fact that we have bodies and we're alive. Everyone can dance. If you are alive and have a body, you can dance. And there's going to be opportunities for dancing coming up this spring here at the Unitarian Society. So keep your eye out for inclusive dancing for everyone this spring. One of my favorite things about Mardi Gras is the costumes, which also don't make any sense. So unlike Halloween, where everyone asks you, oh, hey, what are you? What are you dressed as? Mardi Gras, you can just cover yourself in silver spandex and a big purple hat and call it a day. You can spend months working on a one-of-a-kind masterpiece based on a dream you had in kindergarten. Or you can just dig out the shiniest things in your closet, put them all on at once, put on some comfortable shoes, and head out into the day. Anything goes. It invented vibes before vibes were a thing. One year in high school, I had a friend who showed up in a sort of a foam suit, and we asked what he was, and he said he was a garbanzo bean. And he called himself Garbanzo Man, the leader of the Free Yiddish Vegetables. So we called him Garbanzo Man all day long, right? Who knows? It makes no sense. But it makes perfect sense at the same time. As my colleague and fellow New Orleanian, the Reverend Nathan Ryan, says, Mardi Gras teaches us to live life and know that not everything makes sense, and that's okay. It gets us over our fear of that nonsense, our fear that nonsense will always lead to cruelty, and realize that it can also be the house of joy. It gets us over that fear of nonsense that might be part of that being paralyzed that I spoke about. Once you embrace the idea that nonsense is a force in the world and it can be used for good or evil, just like everything else, why not embrace it and use it for good? Nonsense is more than just okay, it is necessary. Because part of being a joyful resistance right now is being unpredictable, is being transgressive, is being in this way ungovernable by the systems of power who want to drive us toward cruelty. It is our job to throw those algorithms for a loop, to get local and get creative, to love the world in ways that don't make sense and nobody can predict, that don't make money, that don't make anyone famous, that don't do harm, that make us laugh together and get closer to that shared humanity that help us rediscover that thread of love that banishes sorrow. Because if we can hold on to that thread of love that weaves through this sorrowful world, if we refuse to stop singing that song of joy that is the Creator's favorite tune, as Ron Cuccia said, if we can tap into that wild and unpredictable solidarity that we find when we revel in our humanity together, it might just be what we need to help us survive. Happy Mardi Gras, y'all. All right. The time has come, our parade, so we're going to give a little instructions about how this parade is going to go, because we're going to end our service a little differently than the way we normally do. Our kids in their masks are going to come forward with their beads. Our Brasscals are going to play When the Saints Go Marching In. The kids are going to do one loop around the sanctuary with the beads, throwing the beads out to everybody who raises your hands up and yells, "Throw me something." We're going to do one loop around the sanctuary like this. The Brasscals are going to follow the kids. Come on forward while they're handing out their beads back there. And follow the kids around. Once around, we're going to sing When the Saints Go Marching In, so y'all have a job too. And then the kids are going to lead the band out into the garden, and we are all going to follow where the music and the fun and the king cake will continue. So are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? All right, so go ahead, and we'll go ahead and get started. The kids are almost ready. You can bring the beads up here and just hand them out as they get ready to go. All right. Paraders, and bead throwers, are y'all ready? All right, let's go.